February 23rd, 1847, in the mountains of northern Mexico, an American army was about to face overwhelming odds. General Zachary Taylor had roughly 5,000 men. Marching against him was General Antonio López de Santa Anna with an army several times larger. Santa Anna expected the Americans to surrender. Instead, they prepared to fight. This was the Battle of Buena Vista, and before it was over, American artillery would help turn the battlefield. The Mexican-American War was already underway when Taylor's army moved into northern Mexico. But many of Taylor's experienced regular troops had been transferred to General Winfield Scott for the coming campaign against Veracruz and Mexico City. That left Taylor with an army made up largely of volunteers. Then came word that Santa Anna was advancing north with a much larger force. The Americans took up a defensive position near a mountain pass south of Saltillo. The terrain helped narrow Santa Anna's advantage in numbers, but there was really no escaping the reality. The Americans were heavily outnumbered. Before the battle, Santa Anna demanded Taylor surrender. Taylor refused. And February 23rd, the real fighting began. Santa Anna threw his forces against the American lines. The battle became violent and confused. Mexican troops pressed around the American left. Some American volunteer units broke beneath the pressure. For a moment, it appeared Santa Anna might turn Taylor's flank and overwhelm the American position. But the other units held. The fighting stretched across ravines, ridges, and rough ground. American infantry fired into advancing Mexican ranks. Cavalry moved across the battlefield. Again and again, the artillery went forward. Among those artillerymen was Captain Braxton Bragg. Bragg commanded a battery of light artillery, capable of moving rapidly across the battlefield. When Mexican troops threatened the American position, Bragg's guns were brought dangerously close to the fighting. The artillerymen loaded, they aimed, and they fired. This is where one of the most famous stories of the Mexican-American War was born. According to traditional account, General Taylor saw Bragg's artillery hammering the advancing Mexican troops and called out, "A little more grape, Captain Bragg?" Grape meant grape shot, a type of artillery ammunition designed to scatter multiple iron balls from the cannon. At close range, it could devastate massed troops. The exact words Taylor used have been debated, and versions of the quotation appeared after the battle. But the phrase became forever associated with Buena Vista. "A little more grape, Captain Bragg?" Bragg's battery poured fire into the Mexican advance. Other American artillery batteries fought fiercely as well, and the Mexican assault began to lose momentum. But Buena Vista was not won by one cannon or one man. Across the battlefield, American soldiers were fighting desperately to keep their army together. Indiana volunteers fought. Kentuckians fought. Mississippians under Colonel Jefferson Davis fought. Regular artillerymen and volunteer infantry stood side by side. Some positions were lost. Others were retaken. The American line bent, but it did not collapse. As daylight faded, Santa Anna's army had failed to destroy Taylor's force. The Americans remained on the field, and during the night, the Mexican army withdrew. Buena Vista was an American victory, but it came at a terrible price. Hundreds of American soldiers were killed or wounded. Mexican losses were considerably greater. The battle effectively ended Santa Anna's attempt to crush Taylor's army in northern Mexico, and news of the victory swept across the United States. Zachary Taylor became a national hero. His reputations at battles Palo Alto, Rosata de la Palma, Monterrey, and Buena Vista would eventually help carry him all the way to the White House. But Buena Vista belonged to more than a general. It belonged to the soldiers who stood their ground when the odds said they should have been overwhelmed. February 23, 1847, Buena Vista. An American army stood against a force several times its size. The line was pressured. Men fell. Positions changed hands, but the army held. And when the enemy pressed forward, the guns answered. Whether Taylor's exact words have reached us perfectly or not, the phrase became a part of legend of the battle. "A little more grape, Captain Bragg?" Buena Vista would become one of the defining American victories of the Mexican-American War. Not because Americans had the larger army. They didn't. But because when the larger army came against them, they held the line. This is the armed watchman. Remember the history, remember the sacrifice, and never forget the men who stood when the odds were against them.